All right, I do believe we're live. Hi, everyone. We'll give it a couple minutes, a couple seconds to see who else shows up, but I am very much definitely live, and it is great to see everyone here on what I hope is a clear day where you are. It's finally not snowing here for like a few hours, so that's kind of nice. But I am thrilled that you guys are here. Let's see who is here. Feel free to say hi into the chat if you are here in the comments. Feel free to post and tell me you're here. The gist of what I'm going to talk about today is pretty simple. It's COVID hit on March 8th. My last keynote was Sunday, March 8th, or last in-person keynote was Sunday, March 8th, or Monday, March 8th, I don't remember, in Las Vegas, Nevada, for the National Ready Mix Concrete Association. And I gave a keynote to them, had a great time, got on a plane, came home, and if I'd known that was going to be one of the last times I'd be on a plane for however long, I probably would have taken a little more time and not jumped off the plane as soon as the seatbelt sign went off. But I did, and that was the last time I flew. I've flown a couple of times for work, but that was the last time I spoke in front of an audience in an actual stage. And it was the past 9 months, 10 months, 11 months, 11 months have been brutal, right? I've been working my ass off, and that's not been a bad thing, but it's been tough for someone who does 250,000 miles to 350,000 miles a year. It's been brutal, right? To sit at home. I'm fortunate. I have some great people in my life. If you ever told me that I'd be going to Jersey on a regular basis to see someone, to go to Jersey at all, I thought it would have been crazy. But here I am, dragging my ass out to Wayne, New Jersey. I have my daughter. I've been homeschooling her along with my ex, so we've been splitting that. And it's kind of a shock when you have a 7-year-old kid, and all your life you've been lied to. All her teachers and everyone has told you that she's a pleasure to have in class, and you find out she's not a pleasure to have in class at all. That's been kind of brutal. But that being said, I'm very fortunate. This has been a lot worse for a lot of people, and I am very fortunate that I have been able to pivot. And one of the ways that I give back is by helping people do the same. So I want to share with you how I do that. I want you guys to this link that I'm about to post now, linktr.ee, Linktree/Peter Shankman, has all of the links I'm going to mention today. So you can go there all now. Anything you buy from there is an affiliate sale, which means that I get a few bucks to send to Best Friends Animal Society and the New York City Mayor's Task Force on Homeless Pets. And so anything you do buy off of that, we can help save the lives of some animals, which is kind of cool. I have he's fortunately sleeping, so I'm not going to wake him up. But there's a almost 5-month-old puppy under my couch, right under my desk right now, and he is my newest addition to the family. So what am I using? Well, I just posted a video on Instagram. If you follow me on Instagram, instagram.com/Peter Shankman, I just posted a quick video using this tool. This is called the Insta360. If you haven't seen this camera is pretty awesome. It's how I shoot all my skydives back in the days when you could skydive. And what it is, it's a 2-sided camera giving you a 360-degree view of everything that you shoot. And I keep this thing on the corner of my desk at most all times, because you never know when you're going to be able to use it. What's really cool is because it's shooting 360 degrees, I can film myself here. I filmed, so that the video that you'll watch on Instagram, it's like 25 seconds, and it shows you the setup that I'm using right now. And it's shot from the Insta360, so I'm able to turn the view at any given time and show you different things within the video. And it's great for sort of behind the scenes work. Also, you can put it on this little mini tripod here, or you can also put it on what they have. They have a longer tripod, like it's about this long, and it's called a bullet camera. And you actually swing it over your head, and it creates 360-degree bullet time, sort of like the Matrix videos, which is really cool to watch. So I'm a huge fan of the Insta360. I use that for all my behind the scenes stuff, as well as any adventure shooting I do, or anything that I've done. Like I've taken my daughter during lockdown during the summer. I took her to the street corner, and I put the camera on the ground. I had her jump over it and created sort of 360-degree views of her jumping and stuff like that. So that's Insta360 is a really, really fun camera. It's a great way to up your Instagram game as well. If you scroll down on my Insta on the photos, you'll see a picture of me on the Peloton probably about, 8 months ago or so. And it looks like it's taken from a drone, right? Because it's an overhead shot of me on the camera. All of that was done with the 360. I also posted something a few weeks ago of my daughter and I on my scooter. Same thing, 360 drone. So it's a really, really cool thing. I think about $400 or something like that, $500. And it's a phenomenal camera. You'll wind up taking it everywhere you go. So what are we looking at right now? I am talking to you. I'm talking into a Canon EOS 5D Mark IV, which is a high-end professional grade camera that you do not need to get. Okay, it's a phenomenal camera. If you can afford it, I strongly recommend it. But that being said, anything in the Canon EOS line is a phenomenal camera that you can use to connect directly to the computer and get that sort of professional look. If you notice, everything, if I move out here, I'm still in focus. If I move up here, I'm still in focus. The background continues to stay out of focus. That's a real background. That's not a zoom background. It's a real background. It stays in focus. And the reason for that is because I'm using an actual real lens on the camera. I'm not using the computer camera. The number one way to improve your virtual speaking, to improve your Zoom calls, anything, is to not use the camera that comes with the computer, because everyone uses the camera that comes with the computer, and it's designed like the original Polaroids were, which is a hole and absolutely no aperture. Aperture shows how much, or it determines how much the lens closes or opens, how much light is let into the camera, and how much background stays in focus or out of focus. Because my background is completely out of focus, or at least moderately out of focus, and I'm in focus, I so-called pop onto the computer screen, and I pop onto your screen while the background stays out of focus. That's what you want. Now, one of the things you can get for that, the camera that you want, at least for me, the Canon has a phenomenal piece of software called the EOS Web Utility. And all I do is I plug in an HDMI cable into the camera that connects through a regular cord and connects into my laptop via for the Mac, it's the USB-C connectors. It's an adapter. I think it's like $15. And that gives me the ability to use this camera on this computer. It is unbelievably strong. The only thing I recommend is you're going to have to play with the amount of, what's the word I'm looking for? The size of the image, right? You can have an image that's unbelievably high quality, or you can have a regular quality image. The higher quality you go, the faster computer and more RAM you're going to need, because the higher quality you go, the more data it has to input into the computer in real time. And so I found that on my MacBook Air, even at like middle quality, it was still a little jagged and jarring and whatever. So I moved over to a MacBook Pro, and that handles it perfectly. So I'm going directly into the USB-C cord, and it is working perfectly with that clean HDMI connection. So yeah, Rob is right. You need an HDMI connection, clean HDMI connection. But still, there are ways to jerry-rig it around and get another connection for whatever your camera has. But yeah, this one, the quality is superb. I love it, and it gives me a much better look. So even if it's just a basic Zoom call, you look better. Behind the camera, directly behind it, and you'll see it on that Instagram thing I showed you, behind the camera is a Neewer ring light, and I posted that on linktree.com/Peter Shankman, or link.tree/Peter Shankman. A ring light. Did my sound stop working? Uh-oh. Hold that thought. It shouldn't have. Can anyone hear me? Let me know if you can hear me. I don't want to know if my sound stopped working. Is my sound working? Someone tell me. Let me check my sound. Hang on. Cam, mic, audio. Mic check. 1, 2, 3. No, it should be working. My sound is working. Yeah, my sound's working. All right, cool. So this ring light is probably one of the best things I've ever bought. It just sits in the background. All it does is it just provides a solid ring of light around my face. And again, because I'm using an aperture-controlled camera, it never gets too bright. I can turn it as bright as I want or as dark as I want, and the camera will automatically adjust to make everything else perfect. So being able to use a ring light, and the ring light's about $80, allows me to connect to whatever visuals I want. I don't have to turn the lights in the apartment. I'm not using a bright flash, nothing. Just a regular light. It works. TV loves that, because the worst thing that you see on TV, if you're watching people on television who are having who are doing like live Zooms from their room or from their apartment, from the living room or whatever, you see a ton of they're too bright, or they're too hot, or they're not hot enough. You know, this is the ring light. Best $70 you'll ever spend. It just makes everything work. Make it a little softer. and everything just seems to work to fruition. So huge fan. It's called the Nero ring light. And again, link.tree/Peter Shankman has everything. Lou, it can make you look like George Clooney, actually. Yes. I'm actually about 100 pounds heavier than I look right now. So it's a phenomenal light. Other than that, I'm using a good pair of headphones for my Zoom call, and I'm using I think it's a $15 or $20 little lavalier mic. It clips right to my shirt and allows me better sound than I'd get. Although the camera sound is pretty good, but allows me better sound. And also, you don't have to use the sound for the computer. So when you're typing, you're not typing click, 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 click into the microphone. So that's cool as well. That is primarily the setup I'm using for the tech aspect of it. That's the setup I'm using. If I wanted to, I do have a Blue Yeti microphone. If I was looking for really high quality NPR type sound like that, I could use it. But honestly, no one's ever complained, so I've never really had a problem with the sound. But the big thing for me is a quality camera that's not your computer camera. That will change everything right out of the gate. So I strongly recommend that. In terms of how I've been getting more speeches and what I've been doing, so the key really, there's a great picture of a turtle. It's a cartoon once it's a turtle, and he's on his back. And everyone's saying, the turtle's on his back, and everyone's like, oh my God, the turtle's gonna die. And the turtle's looking up at the stars and the sky. It's like, oh my God, I'm flying. The turtle's like really happy because he's flying. So what can you do to explain to people that virtual speaking is actually a benefit to the people who want to hire you? Well, one of the things that I've found is that right off the bat, my speaking engagements overseas have picked up. I have done a couple of Tokyos. I've done one Hong Kong. I've done 2 Sydney, Australias. All of them in the past 2 months, all paid speaking gigs, because I can go to them and say, well, my fees haven't really dropped that much, but you're probably going to be saving about $8,000 just because you don't have to fly me anywhere. Not to mention, I could do a speaking gig at 4 a.m. in Tokyo and at 6 a.m. in Sydney without ever leaving my couch. So I'm a strong believer in finding the positives there. And for that, you can reach out to companies who guys might not have ever been able to afford you, right? Because in addition to your keynote fee, they first have to pay your travel, right? If you're going overseas, it's business class. So if you can say to them, hey, look, I'm going to save you 8 to 10 grand, right? My trips to China, to Shenzhen to speak for Huawei, I was going there 3 times a year. Each trip was no less than 11 grand for them. Just the travel, just the flight and hotel. All of a sudden, I'm saving them 11 grand. They're more than happy to pay whatever I charge them for my speaking fee, because look at how much money they're saving, right? So ask yourself. My mom used to do that all the time. She'd go shopping, and my dad would say, how much did you spend? And I said, it doesn't matter. Look at how much we saved with the coupons, right? So anything you can save in that regard is tremendously beneficial. What can you save them, right? And say, oh, well, you don't have to. And then they always come back with, well, you don't have to. You should be able to charge us a lot less because you don't have to leave your apartment. Except for one thing. You're actually not charging them for the day you go to speak. And this is something I don't think a lot of people understand. When someone hires me to give a keynote, I'm not charging them $20,000 to go on stage and speak to their audience. I'm charging them $20,000 for the experience and the life lessons I've learned over the past 20 years that I'm going to talk about. That's what they're being billed for. That's what I'm getting paid for. I'm getting paid to talk about the things I know, and those things I know I've learned over the past 20 years, right? So when people come to you and they say, hey, you're at home, you should be able to speak. Can you speak for $1,000? It's really cheap. Whatever your low fee is. Well, I can't, because even though I'm not leaving my apartment, I'm still teaching you everything that I've learned over the past 20 years, and that is what you're paying for. So don't be afraid to give them your normal rate. You want to come down 10%? Come down 10%, but they're still paying for what you've learned, and no pandemic at all or lockdown or work from home is going to change that. A second thing I would recommend is to reach out to companies, like I said, who not only couldn't afford you in the past, but who are now looking. I have not talked to a company. I just had a call a half an hour before this with a company who's looking for a speaker to come in and not only talk about customer experience, but talk about customer experience and motivation. Think about the world we're in right now. We have thousands and thousands of companies who are out there, and they're talking and they're saying, my employees are miserable. They have to work from home. They don't see a lot of people. They're Generation X, Generation Y, Generation Z, millennials. They don't know what's going on. They don't know if they're going to have a job next week. Can you come in and just give them a silver lining? Can you give them some good advice? And so my normal keynote about customer service and customer experience still exists, but I have changed that and marketed it a bit. So it's now also very much about not only the customer experience, but the customer experience going forward and how we can change and be better as human beings in this sort of new environment. Never be afraid to pivot. Never be afraid to change your speech. And you might say, oh, what do you know about motivation? I know what I've done. I know what's getting me through this. I look out in the same damn apartment every single day for the past year. For a guy who used to travel 350,000 miles a year, that is very, very difficult. So I'm looking at what used to be normal, right? This is normal now, and there'll be another normal tomorrow and a normal the day after that. Figure out ways to make it enjoyable and then tell those stories. Let's face it, why are you speaking? You're speaking you're telling stories when you're on stage, and those stories are people who learn what you're doing, and the stuff that you've learned and that you're sharing with them, that's the value they're getting out of it, right? So I might go on stage and tell a story about how United Airlines calls me Lord of the Skies, but the lesson behind that is what I learned from bothering United for three and a half years in a row, asking them, hey, call me Lord of the Skies, and what they learned from a customer experience standpoint about it, right? So every story you're telling is about what you've learned and how they can learn from it. And Rosario, that's part of the point. You didn't know, now you know. I speak about a lot of things, right? And so everything I do talk about is designed to fit into everything else. I do talk about ADHD, I talk about as a gift and all that, but I also talk about customer experience. I get paid a lot to go talk about customer experience because that is sort of the bread and butter. That's the stuff I learned when running Harrow, the company I sold about 10 years ago. So, and I am actually a Lord too, Gab. So yeah, the things do come full circle. I don't know where the gray hair came from, Mitch. I'm assuming I'm Paulie Walnuts from The Sopranos, but I couldn't really tell you. I sound like Peter Segal from Wait, Don't Tell Me. Thank you, Evan. I like that. I'll take it as a compliment. So go around to the companies that either couldn't afford you before, or well, you're too far away. Or we're gonna go local and say, hey, everyone's local now. What can we do to talk? Reach out to these companies. You'd be amazed how many companies are looking for new things, whether it's a speaker, whether it's motivation, whether it's someone to come in. You really have more than ever before the opportunity to shake things up and rock the boat a little more than you really ever had in the past. I'm amazed at how many companies are calling me, or companies I'm reaching out to, or Megan's reaching out to, and they're saying, hey, we would love to have you come in and do something. And, I'll check my notes. Megan's like, didn't they turn us down every year for the past 8 years? Yes, they did. But I guess things are, times are changing. How are you going to change with them? One of the other things that I recommend you do is, if you can put together the sort of the setup that I have, any kind of setup you can use to connect to people, to get a better, to just look a little better on Zoom, start recording some of those. Start recording the stuff that you're talking about. Start recording the stuff you're doing online. Make videos about them, right? Make little webinars, make little 10, 15-minute videos, drop them into Instagram, drop them into Facebook. Use hashtags and use SEO to your advantage. There are several people who I work with who do phenomenal SEO. I'll happy to give you their names. And they're setting me up so that when people are searching for virtual keynote speaker, right, or corporate keynote speaker virtually, or whatever it is, I'm coming up pretty much on top of the game. So you got to work on improving the stuff you're doing when you're not speaking, and that is whether you're giving talks on Facebook like this one, or whether you're holding your own webinars. I know Gabby did a webinar just a couple of days ago in her travel world that was stunningly well produced. It was like 70 different speakers and all these from all these different countries, and it looked like it was produced for the Olympics. It was stunningly gorgeous. And it took her a while to put everything together, but it was all done from her living room, right? And people's living rooms around the world and things like that. And it just looked beautiful. So there are ways that you can continue to stand out from the crowd. Mary D asks, how do you read a room? Okay, let me start from the top. Do I have any specific place where I position myself as a CX speaker? I just reach out. I reach out to companies directly. The greatest thing is once you've spoken in one place, your name starts getting out there and people start calling you. Everyone you meet is a potential customer and potential client. And this brings up, I'm not selling on this like free Facebook thing, but I will say this. Scott Monty, who used to be the head of comms at Ford Motor Company, Scott and I put together a how to speak course. And if you go to linktree.com/Peter Shankman, you can find it. We just launched it about 2 weeks ago. It's doing very, very well, and it answers all those questions. It's entirely about how to get more speaking gigs and how to become a better public speaker and better storyteller. Norman, my high school buddy, hey buddy, asks, how do you overcome fear of speaking of large crowds? Stand up and speak. This is one of the best things about speaking of large crowds in this virtual world. I have no idea how many people. What did it got? 70 people or something like that somewhere? 68 people in the audience right now. I have no idea how many people are there. I'm just talking to a camera. I'm talking to a camera next to a ring light, next to a view of the Hudson River. That's all I see, right? So I have no idea how many people I'm talking to. Just talk, right? You can replay this on Zoom. You can replay this, just get out there and start talking and let people see you, right? And then how do you read a room when you can't see the audience? Well, for me, I like to see the audience. I like to ask questions. I like to ask people beforehand, what are you going to be talking? What do you want to learn? What are you going to be talking about, right? A lot of times what I'll do is I'll ask the person who hired me to ask 3 or 4 of his audience attendees to leave their microphones open and just be quiet. And the reason I do that is because I pepper my stuff with a lot of jokes. And so when I tell a joke, I want to know that it's landing, right? Because if it's not landing, I'm kind of screwed. So I will tell the joke, and then I will mute myself really fast for like 3 seconds and see if anyone whose mic is open laughs. Even if I just get one person, I know the jokes are landing, right? So for me, that's some of the best ways to read the room. Adriana, who I think hooked up a little late, said, can you list the equipment, please? Adriana, if you go to that link on the bottom, linktr.ee/Peter Shankman, all the links are there to the camera, to the light ring, to the Insta-One 360X, and to the tripod. All the stuff that I use is right there. What other questions can I answer? Let's see. If you have any other questions, feel free to post them into the chat. I will tell you that one of the things that I have become acutely aware of during lockdown and during all this time that we've been home, thanks, Ken, is it is a lot harder. You have to put a lot more effort into taking care of yourself, right? When I'm on stage right now, you guys are seeing me. I mean, I don't know, this camera, this lens captures everything, right? Holy crap, do I have bags under my eyes, right? So I'm starting to learn really fast. I have good people in my life. One of them is taking me to her Botox guy, right? You need good people in your life. I've never been someone who really cared about my looks. I mean, I'm fat. I don't really care about my looks per se, but I have worked my ass off over these past 7 months to stay in the gym and sort of, work out at home. I have kettlebells to get bulked, to put on some muscle, to drop some fat. And I've done a relatively good job. I can always do more, right? I could just not eat for like 3 months. That would help. But it is amazing how many, if you know anyone who's a plastic surgeon, if you know anyone who works in plastic surgery or in spa treatments, their business is going through the roof because people are seeing themselves on Zooms and all of a sudden they're not liking what they say. When I talk in front of 10,000 people, I might have giant screens on either side of me with my face, but you can't really see what I look like, right? Here, you can see every last pore. So I have been very aware about how I look, what I eat. I am trying to drink at least 2 gallons of water a day. Vintage seltzer and LaCroix. If you drink LaCroix is awesome because LaCroix is what drinking TV static must taste like, but it's still water, it's still H2O, and it still goes right to your pores and helps out tremendously. So strongly recommend drinking more water than you already are. And if you could add some more vegetables into your mix, you would be amazed. That will help too. But yeah, sitting in front of your desk and not moving around. For me on stage, my watch has told me that in a 1 hour keynote, I'll walk 2 to 3 miles just back and forth on the stage. Again, not being able to do that and doing anything from a chair is different. Someone asked me, are we going to get back to in-person? Well, of course we are. There's no question about it. The conference industry is a $3.2 trillion industry worldwide. It's not going anywhere, right? You're not going to lose the conference industry, but it will take a little time. And it's going to come back, but it's going to take some time. So I think the key is focus on what you could do now. Continue doing as many lives and as many virtual speeches as you possibly can. Record all of them. Create your, you can use 5, 6, 7 live videos. You can use that to create your speaking reel, right? For the first time ever, no one's going to give you crap if all your speaking is not done in front of a huge audience, right? It used to be, you have to be able to show the room with 10,000 people. What room? There are no more rooms now. So if you can create a 7 or 8 different keynotes like this, where I'm talking to you guys, you can do whatever you want, right? You can build that. You can hire a good editor for a few $100 or $1,000, and you can buy everything into that. Nancy, you totally need the Canon EOS 5D. Buy it from the link I sent you, the link on the link tree at B&H. It is a phenomenal camera, and they'll give you a phenomenal price. Sorry, Don. I do have a bunch of future keynotes lined up. I tend to put them on Shankman.com, and I also list them in my mailing list. Guys, if you're not on my mailing list, go to shank.mn, and I'll put that in the banners as well. Go to shank.mn/emails, and that will sign you up to my mailing list. It'll show you when I'm speaking. I do a lot of discounts, a lot of coupons, a lot of freebies for my audience. People send me a lot of stuff. I tend to give it away. We just did a deal for roses, which I think you can find on Linktree. But yeah, shankman.com/emails, and you can also find that link at Linktree as well. So yeah, for me, it's just really about continuing to do what I do as much as possible. right? If you go to, what is it? I think it's youtube.com/Peter Shankman Official. That's my my YouTube page, youtube.com. Yeah, youtube.com/Peter Shankman Official. You'll see everything there. One of the things that's interesting, I've been, for those who don't know, I've been a futurist in residence at Epic Marketing Consultants for a little over a year now, and they're phenomenal people. But one of the cool things about working for them is that I can say to guys, hey guys, I'm doing this thing, can you take a look? Or I'll run something by them, or, and they'll give me such incredible feedback. Have a tribe of people who you can go to and whose opinions you trust, and send them a couple of your speaking gigs. Have them come onto a couple of your calls and say, hey guys, give me some honest feedback. What do you think of this? How is it? Do you like it? Do you hate it? What does it look like? So it's important to be able to have that stuff and to show that stuff. Once you do that and you get a feel for how you speak and how people want you to speak and what they like to see, it helps out tremendously. I'm going to attempt to share my screen for a second. I want to show you, if I can get it, I want to show you what my that image that I showed you, so you can see what the what my setup is in front of us. And I think I should be able to get it. I think here it is. Yeah, here it is. So I'm going to share. Let's see if I can share this image. Let's see how to do that. So I'm going to share a video file. And that video file is here. Here we go. So check this out. Let's see if this works.
So on this video, we're showing my setup, which includes the ring light, the camera, the mini tripod, the computer, the headphones, and the lav mic, which connects to here, all of which together, armed with an HDMI cable directly from the Canon into the MacBook Pro, give me everything I need for pure video. I could use this for CNN, I could use this for live TV, I could use this for speaking with no lag whatsoever.
Now, that video that you just saw was actually recorded on this thing. At no point did this ever move, right? This just stayed right here. After the video recorded, I threw it into the app on my phone. 2 little adjustments to change where it was positioned, because again, it's 360 degrees, and that's what you saw. So I didn't need any editing skills, nothing, right? It was an amazing, amazing, it's an amazing system. Again, I use it when I skydive. If you scroll down, if you scroll onto down my Instagram, you'll see that I was holding it in my hand when I jumped out of a plane over the pyramids of Egypt, and it looks like there's a drone following me. My profile photo on Facebook or everywhere is a photo of me under canopy, and I'm holding it, and the software edits out selfie stick. So I strongly recommend one of those. That is the thing that Scott, the focus is controlled by the autofocus built in the camera. It's tracking my eyes right now. Wherever I go, it's following me. If I move back, right, it'll catch up to me. See how I'm still in focus? By the way, plus points to anyone who understands this shirt. I'll hold it up there for about 10 seconds. You can see it. So plus points to anyone who understands, but yeah, it's following my eyes. It's not following anything else. As I move forward, it comes back in. And if you watch the background get slightly more in focus the closer I get to it. See? And then it starts to go back out of focus as I come closer to the camera. So it is only tracking my face and doing a phenomenal job at it. Most Canons now do all of that. Yes, I bless the rains out in Africa. Very good, guys. So I'm a huge fan of that. And for me, the goal of technology really is to make everything easier, right? So to give you some idea, I've talked about this in the past about, Scott, I agree with you. I can't help with Nikon either. I actually switched. I was a Nikon guy from like the 90s up until about 2010, 2011, and I moved over to Canon. I've just never looked back. But I will say, I'm happy to help, Evan. Everyone has to sing. So you all have the song Africa in your head right now. But one of the fun things about technology, as long as we're on the subject, everything in my apartment is controlled by my voice. And so I can control my lights, my shades, everything from just talking, and either that or automatically. You know, my lights in my bedroom start to come up at 3:45. I get on the bike, I get on the Peloton, whatever. And everything is controlled automatically. The nice thing about being home, as much as I have, and I never thought I'd say it's nice to be home. I was really the George Clooney character from Up in the Air. But the nice thing about being home is that I've really been able to explore how to use tech to my advantage. And I strongly encourage you to do this as well, since we have a lot of time. Enjoy the tech that you have and figure out how it works to your advantage, what you can do with it, right? The simple act of being able to sit here and, while I'm watching TV and my phone rings, right? Well, I've been able to program the system to hear my phone ring and automatically mute my television, right? And then all I have to do is tell it to unmute, right? Something as simple as that. Both Amazon Echo and Google Home and Apple Home will all do that automatically. If you have Apple, so I have Apple TV, and I can do that automatically. understand the tech that we have. It's just in the past year. I mean, we've jumped about 10 to 15 years technology-wise because of everything that's going on in the world. So I encourage you to find out what's going on. But yeah, those are my questions. If you have a few minutes and you're interested, I do encourage you to go to linktree.com/Peter Shankman. The link to the How to Become a Better Public Speaker course is up there. It's 15 classes in 6 lessons that I did. I built it with Scott Monty. It's live now. I'm a big fan. We think it's really good. We've gotten some great feedback for it. I'm always happy to take questions. I'm at Peter Shankman on all the socials. I encourage you to follow me everywhere. I'm doing a lot more on Instagram. I'm having a lot more fun. Again, this 360 camera, I'm having a blast with the stuff that I'm recording. I'm doing a lot of stories on there. So please follow me. I will follow back. Any questions you have, feel free to ask. Feel free to check them. I also do a Master of the Media course as well. The link is up there too. But yeah, I encourage you to send me an email, peter@shankman.com. And let me know what I can do to help. But I hope this was useful. It's about a half an hour. I hope this was useful, guys. And I'll do more if you did like it. So thanks for watching, everyone. Have a great day. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Wear a mask. Wear 2 masks, actually. That's the new thing. Wear 2 masks. Take care, guys.